Hey, comic fans! Welcome to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the foundational years of Marvel Comics, exploring some classic issues and the debut of iconic characters and teams. Get ready to journey back to the 60s, and one brief jump to 2010. Let's get started. Our chronological journey begins with Uncanny X-Men #1, where Professor Charles Xavier introduces us to his school for gifted youngsters, a haven for mutants, individuals born with extraordinary abilities. We meet the original X-Men team, Cyclops, with his optic blasts, Iceman, who can manipulate cold and ice, Angel, capable of flight with his majestic wings, Beast, possessing incredible strength and agility, and Marvel Girl, telekinetic and, later on, telepathic. Xavier explains that because of humanity's fear of their powers, the X-Men must train to use their powers for good. Their first major adversary? Magneto, the master of magnetism. Magneto believes mutants are superior to humans and should rule, a stark contrast to Xavier's dream of peaceful coexistence. He attacks Cape Citadel, trying to take over the missile base with his magnetic power. The X-Men, despite their inexperience, confront Magneto. It's a battle of ideology as much as powers. We see the early dynamics of the team, their struggles with their abilities, and their loyalty to Xavier's vision. In the end, after a challenging struggle for the team, Magneto escapes, but the nascent heroes foil his plans, marking the beginning of their long and tumultuous rivalry. But first, let's get to know the members of this iconic team in more detail. Scott Summers, Cyclops, is the field leader of the X-Men. He emits powerful optic blasts, beams of concussive force, from his eyes. He can't control them without special ruby quartz lenses, a constant reminder of the burden of his power. He's a stoic and disciplined leader, often grappling with the responsibility of command and the fear of losing control. His dedication to Professor X's dream is unwavering, but his reserved nature often creates distance between him and his teammates, even as he strives to protect them and lead them effectively against mounting threats. Bobby Drake, Iceman, is the youngest of the original team. He can create and manipulate ice, initially covering himself in a snowman-like form. He's the jokester of the group, often providing comic relief, but his powers hold immense potential that he's only beginning to explore. Beneath the wisecracks lies a developing hero still figuring out the scope of his Omega-level abilities and his place within the team and a world that fears and hates mutants. His journey is one of maturation, learning to balance his lightheartedness with the seriousness of their missions. Warren Worthington III, Angel, is a wealthy and handsome mutant with large, feathered wings that grant him flight. He's initially portrayed as a bit of a playboy, enjoying the finer things in life thanks to his family fortune. However, his experiences with the X-Men shape him into a more responsible and dedicated hero. He grapples with the public perception of his mutation and the responsibilities that come with his power and privilege, evolving from a carefree youth into a committed member of the team, using his resources and abilities for the greater good. Hank McCoy, Beast, possesses superhuman strength, agility, and dexterity, coupled with a genius-level intellect. Unlike his later, more animalistic blue-furred appearance, he initially looks more like a powerfully built human with oversized hands and feet. He's highly intelligent, eloquent, and has a love for language and science, often quoting literature or engaging in complex scientific discussions. His struggle involves reconciling his incredible intellect and sophisticated nature with his increasingly non-human appearance and the brute force he wields in battle, making him one of the most complex original X-Men. Jean Grey, Marvel Girl, is the sole female member of the original team. She possesses telekinetic abilities, allowing her to move objects with her mind. Later, her latent telepathic powers emerge, making her incredibly powerful. She's compassionate, intelligent, and caring, often acting as the emotional core of the team. She forms a strong bond with her teammates, especially a burgeoning romance with Cyclops. Her journey involves mastering her immense powers while navigating the complex dynamics of the team and the dangers they face, hinting at the cosmic destiny that awaits her. Professor Charles Xavier, or Professor X, is the founder and mentor of the X-Men. He's one of the world's most powerful telepaths, able to read minds, communicate mentally across vast distances, and influence thoughts. Confined to a wheelchair due to a past injury, he's a visionary leader, dedicated to his dream of peaceful coexistence between humans and mutants. He uses his vast resources and intellect to train his students, guiding them not just in the use of their powers, but also in ethics and strategy, acting as a father figure to the young teen. Max Eisenhardt, known as Magneto, the master of magnetism, is the X-Men's first and most enduring adversary. He has the near-limitless power to control and manipulate all forms of magnetism, allowing him to control metal, create force fields, and fly. A Holocaust survivor, his traumatic experiences have shaped his belief that mutants are genetically superior and must assert their dominance over humans to ensure their survival, viewing humanity as an inevitable threat. He's a complex and formidable villain, sometimes ally, driven by a tragic past and a fierce desire to protect mutant kind, albeit through extreme methods. In Uncanny X-Men #2, we're introduced to a new threat, the Vanisher. This slippery villain has the mutant power of teleportation, allowing him to instantly disappear and reappear elsewhere, making him incredibly difficult to catch. The Vanisher, revealed to be Telford Porter, uses his powers primarily for personal gain, embarking on a crime spree involving theft and extortion. He easily steals top-secret defense plans and demands a hefty ransom. Professor X senses the Vanisher's criminal actions using Cerebro and dispatches the X-Men. The team struggles to counter his teleportation ability. Every time they get close, he simply vanishes. They track him to the White House lawn where he plans to extort the government. It's a frustrating game of cat and mouse. The X-Men's powers seem ineffective against an opponent who won't stay put. Seeing his students struggle, Xavier takes a more direct approach. Using his powerful telepathy, he induces selective amnesia in the Vanisher, causing him to forget his powers entirely. Deprived of his memory and abilities, the Vanisher is easily apprehended by authorities, left bewildered and powerless. This issue highlights the limits of the X-Men's physical powers against certain abilities and showcases the immense power and utility of Professor X's telepathy as a trump card. Telford Porter, known as the Vanisher, possesses the mutant ability to teleport himself, his clothes, and a limited amount of additional mass across indeterminate distances. He appears and disappears, often heralded by a distinctive bamp sound effect, though that sound is more famously associated with Nightcrawler later. He's primarily a career criminal, using his powers for theft, smuggling, and quick getaways. He's not driven by grand ideologies like Magneto. His motivations are purely self-serving, wealth and avoiding capture. While not physically imposing, his power makes him an extremely elusive and frustrating opponent for many heroes. Uncanny X-Men #3 brings us face-to-face with the Blob. Professor X detects a new mutant, and the X-Men track him down to a local carnival. There they find Fred J. Dukes, performing as the Blob, showcasing his incredible immovability. Xavier invites him to the X-Mansion, hoping to recruit him. However, the Blob proves to be arrogant, boorish, and uninterested in Xavier's ideals of heroism. He enjoys the attention his powers bring him but sees the X-Men as freaks trying to hide. He refuses to join and, upon learning the X-Men's secret identities, decides he'd rather use that information against them. A fight breaks out inside the mansion. The Blob's immense mass makes him virtually immovable when he plants himself, and his blubbery hide absorbs most physical attacks, including Cyclops' optic blasts and Beast's punches. He proves surprisingly strong, easily tossing the X-Men around. The team struggles to find a way to subdue him. Realizing the danger he poses, especially if he reveals their secrets, Professor X uses his telepathy once more. He completely erases the Blob's memory of the X-Men and his time at the mansion. The X-Men then return the bewildered Blob to the carnival, ensuring their secret remains safe, though they failed to recruit the powerful mutant. Fred J. Dukes, better known as the Blob, is a mutant whose primary ability is superhuman durability in generating his own gravitational field, making him virtually immovable when he chooses to be rooted to the spot. His thick, blubbery physiology absorbs impacts from bullets, punches, and even energy blasts to a degree. While often depicted as overweight, this mass also grants him considerable strength. Personality-wise, the Blob is typically portrayed as crude, arrogant, unintelligent, and self-serving. He often works as hired muscle for various supervillains, most notably becoming a recurring member of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Shifting gears to Tales of Suspense #49, we see Iron Man facing a new, communist threat, the Crimson Dynamo. This issue follows directly from the previous one, where the original Crimson Dynamo, Anton Vanko, defected to the USA and began working for Tony Stark. The Soviet government, furious at this betrayal and the loss of their armored agent, dispatches two agents, Boris Turgenev and the Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, in her first appearance, though not the focus here, to eliminate Vanko and sabotage Stark Industries. Turgenev dons a new, improved Crimson Dynamo armor provided by the KGB. He infiltrates Stark Industries during a public demonstration of a new experimental laser weapon developed by Stark and Vanko. The new Dynamo attacks, aiming to kill Vanko and destroy Stark's technology. Tony Stark suits up as Iron Man to confront the powerful Soviet armor. The battle rages through the facility, showcasing the Crimson Dynamo's formidable weaponry, including powerful electric blasts and tractor beams, which prove a match for Iron Man's own arsenal. During the fight, the Dynamo damages the experimental laser, causing it to malfunction dangerously. Seeing the malfunctioning laser threatening everyone, Anton Vanko, the original Dynamo, heroically sacrifices himself. He pushes Turgenev into the path of the laser's beam just as Iron Man fires his own chest repulsor ray at the Dynamo. The combined energy causes an explosion that kills both Vanko and Turgenev, destroying the Crimson Dynamo armor. Iron Man mourns Vanko's sacrifice but has stopped the Soviet threat. Boris Turgenev is the second man to wear the Crimson Dynamo armor, following Anton Vanko. Unlike Vanko, who was a scientist forced into the role, Turgenev is a ruthless KGB agent specifically chosen for his loyalty and combat skills. His version of the armor was likely reverse-engineered or improved by Soviet scientists based on Vanko's designs. It possessed immense strength, durability, flight via boot jets, and powerful electrical energy discharges, making it one of the few technological marvels capable of challenging Iron Man's suit directly during this era. Turgenev was dedicated to the Soviet cause and tasked with eliminating Vanko and crippling Stark Industries. In Avengers number 3, the fledgling superhero team faces the Incredible Hulk and the Submariner, but not entirely by their own volition. The issue opens with the Avengers realizing the Hulk has quit the team after the events of the previous issue. Simultaneously, Namor the Submariner, angered by naval depth charge testing near Atlantis, attacks surface ships. Meanwhile, the Hulk, feeling betrayed and misunderstood, rampages through the desert. Iron Man, Thor, Giant Man, and Wasp decide they need to find the Hulk. Their search inadvertently leads them into conflict with the Submariner. Believing the Avengers are interfering, Namor attacks them. Concurrently, the Hulk stumbles upon the battle. Seeing Namor fighting his former teammates, the volatile Hulk decides to ally himself with the Submariner against the Avengers. This leads to a massive brawl, Hulk and Namor versus Iron Man, Thor, Giant Man, and Wasp. It's a clash of titans, showcasing the raw power of the two temporary allies against the coordinated efforts of the Avengers. The fight is brutal and destructive. Thor battles Namor, while Iron Man and Giant Man try to contain the Hulk. Despite their power, the Avengers struggle against the combined might of the Hulk and Namor. Eventually, Namor realizes the battle is pointless and dives back into the ocean, abandoning the Hulk. The Hulk, enraged but now alone, leaps away, leaving the exhausted Avengers behind. This issue solidifies the Hulk's departure and establishes Namor as a powerful, unpredictable force. Jumping ahead several decades, Web of Spider-Man number 2 from 2010 continues the Gauntlet storyline, focusing on Electro, who has received a significant power-up. Max Dillon, Electro, is financially destitute and suffering from power fluctuations. He's approached by the Mad Thinker and later the Chameleon, working for the Kravenov family, who offer him a solution, a procedure to stabilize and vastly increase his electrical powers, paid for by targeting Dexter Bennett, the ruthless new owner of the Daily Bugle, now rebranded as the DB. Electro blames Bennett's sensationalist media for ruining his reputation and profiting off public fear. Fueled by righteous anger and newfound power, Electro launches a spectacular attack on the DB building, demanding Bennett pay him the money he feels he's owed from Bennett's exploitation of superhumans. Spider-Man intervenes, but finds this Electro is far more powerful than ever before, capable of controlling vast amounts of electricity, even manipulating the city's power grid and writing electrical currents. The battle is intense and public. Electro, feeding off the city's power, becomes almost godlike. He rallies disgruntled citizens, turning public opinion against both Bennett and Spider-Man, painting himself as a populist hero fighting corporate greed. Spider-Man is overwhelmed, struggling to save civilians and fight Electro simultaneously. The issue highlights themes of economic desperation, media manipulation, and the consequences of unchecked power. Electro's rampage is not just mindless villainy, it's born from legitimate grievances amplified by his unstable state and enhanced abilities. Spider-Man faces not just a supervillain, but a public relations nightmare and an ethical dilemma, ending with Electro seemingly triumphant and Spider-Man facing a hostile crowd. Back to the 60s. Uncanny X-Men number 4 marks the explosive debut of Magneto's counter-team, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Magneto, seeking to establish mutant dominance, recruits 4 powerful mutants to his cause: Quicksilver, possessing superspeed; Scarlet Witch, with her reality-altering hex powers; Mastermind, capable of casting complex illusions; and Toad, a sycophantic mutant with incredible leaping ability and a prehensile tongue. Magneto promises them power and protection in a world that fears them. As their first act, the Brotherhood launches a swift and decisive attack on the small, fictional, South American nation of Santo Marco. Using their combined powers, Mastermind creating illusory armies, Quicksilver disarming soldiers in seconds, and Magneto's overwhelming magnetic force, they easily conquer the country, deposing its government. Professor X detects Magneto's actions and sends the X-Men to intervene. This leads to the first direct confrontation between the two mutant teams. The X-Men are initially overwhelmed by the Brotherhood's coordinated assault and diverse power sets. Mastermind's illusions prove particularly effective in disorienting them. The battle reveals the stark contrast between the teams, the X-Men fighting to protect humanity, the Brotherhood seeking to rule it. While Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch show some reluctance towards Magneto's extreme methods, owing him a debt for saving them from a mob, they ultimately follow his lead. The X-Men are forced into a tactical retreat, leaving Magneto and his Brotherhood in control of Santo Marco, establishing them as a major threat. Pietro Maximoff, Quicksilver, is a mutant with the ability to think and move at superhuman speeds, far exceeding the sound barrier. He perceives the world as if it's moving in slow motion, often leading to impatience and arrogance. Introduced alongside his twin sister, Scarlet Witch, he joins the Brotherhood out of a debt to Magneto, who saved them from an angry mob. Pietro is fiercely protective of Wanda and often acts impulsively. While initially antagonistic towards the X-Men, his sense of morality sometimes conflicts with Magneto's goals, hinting at his eventual path towards becoming a hero. Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch, is Pietro's twin sister. Her mutant ability is initially vaguely defined as casting hexes, manipulating probability fields to cause unlikely, often unfortunate, events for her enemies, like guns jamming or objects suddenly breaking. Like her brother, she feels indebted to Magneto and joins the Brotherhood, though she is often shown as more compassionate and morally conflicted than Pietro or Magneto. Her powers are chaotic and not fully understood, even by her, suggesting immense untapped potential. Her journey from reluctant villain to core Avenger is one of Marvel's most significant character arcs. Mortimer Toynbee, known as Toad, is a mutant born with a unique physiology granting him superhuman leaping abilities, enhanced endurance and reflexes, adhesive spit, and a long, prehensile tongue. Physically deformed with a hunched posture, he faced rejection and ridicule throughout his life. This made him susceptible to Magneto's offer of belonging, and he became the master of magnetism's most loyal, groveling sycophant within the original Brotherhood. Often treated poorly by Magneto and other villains, Toad is typically portrayed as cowardly and pathetic, though occasionally displaying surprising cunning or moments of rebellion. Jason Wingard, or Mastermind, is a mutant with the powerful ability to cast extremely convincing and detailed telepathic illusions. He can make others see, hear, smell, taste, and touch things that aren't actually there, effectively altering their perception of reality. He often uses his powers for manipulation, espionage, and psychological warfare. In the Brotherhood, he's Magneto's primary tool for deception and misdirection. Mastermind is typically portrayed as suave, arrogant, and lecherous, enjoying the power his illusions grant him over others. He later plays a pivotal role in the iconic Dark Phoenix saga. Uncanny X-Men number 5 sees Magneto and his Brotherhood consolidating their power in Santo Marco, while the X-Men plot their counterattack. Following their defeat in the previous issue, the X-Men regroup and train, determined to liberate Santo Marco. Professor X devises a strategy to neutralize the Brotherhood's specific powers. They learn Magneto has established himself as the ruler, using his powers and Mastermind's illusions to maintain control over the nation's military. The X-Men launch their assault. Angel acts as a diversion, drawing anti-aircraft fire while Beast disables the guns. Iceman creates cover and obstacles with his ice slides, while Marvel Girl uses her telekinesis to clear paths and deflect attacks. Cyclops provides heavy firepower, blasting through defenses. Inside Magneto's fortress, the rematch begins. Professor X coordinates the attack telepathically, helping his team anticipate and counter the Brotherhood's moves. Cyclops manages to overcome Mastermind's illusions, Beast physically overpowers Toad, and Angel's aerial maneuverability helps against Quicksilver. Marvel Girl contains Scarlet Witch's hexes. The final confrontation comes down to Magneto. Professor X engages him in a psychic battle while the X-Men fight him physically. Magneto, overconfident, triggers a self-destruct mechanism for his base, planning to escape. The X-Men manage to disable the bomb and corner Magneto, but he uses his magnetic powers to create a shield and propel himself away, escaping capture but abandoning his conquered territory. With the Brotherhood defeated and Magneto fled, Santo Marco is liberated. The X-Men are hailed as heroes, proving their effectiveness and scoring their first major victory against Magneto and his team, reinforcing their commitment to Xavier's dream. Next up is Strange Tales number 120, which, alongside its usual Doctor Strange feature, includes a short solo story starring one of the X-Men, Iceman. This backup feature, titled The Iceman Cometh, gives Bobby Drake a chance to shine outside the main X-Men team. The story finds Iceman feeling a bit restless and wanting to prove his individual capabilities as a hero. He's patrolling the city alone when he spots a gang of criminals attempting a daring daytime jewel heist. Eager for action, Iceman leaps into the fray. He uses his powers creatively, creating ice slicks to trip up the fleeing robbers, encasing their getaway car in a block of solid ice, and freezing their guns solid. He shows off his signature ice slides for quick maneuvering. The fight is relatively straightforward, showcasing Iceman's abilities against non-powered thugs rather than supervillains. It emphasizes his youthful exuberance and perhaps a touch of showboating as he easily handles the situation. He quips and jokes while taking down the criminals, highlighting his established personality from the main X-Men book. He successfully apprehends the entire gang, leaving them gift-wrapped in ice for the arriving police. The brief adventure serves as a fun character piece, reinforcing Iceman's powers and personality while giving him a solo victory. It demonstrates his potential as an independent hero and provides a lighthearted contrast to the more dramatic team dynamics often seen in the main X-Men title. Finally, we arrive at Fantastic Four number 28, a landmark issue featuring the first ever meeting and massive clash between the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. The conflict is orchestrated by the villainous puppet master, Philip Masters. Using his special radioactive clay, he sculpts puppets of Professor X and the original 5 X-Men. By manipulating these puppets, he gains complete mental control over the corresponding mutants. Under the puppet master's influence, Professor X commands the X-Men to attack the Fantastic Four at their Baxter Building headquarters, convincing them that the FF are dangerous adversaries. The unsuspecting X-Men launch a full-scale assault, leading to a spectacular hero versus hero battle. We witness classic matchups, the Thing's raw strength against the agility and power of the Beast. The Human Torch's flames versus Iceman's cold. Mr. Fantastic's stretching contends with Cyclops' optic blasts. And Marvel Girl's telekinesis clashes with the Invisible Girl's force fields. It's a chaotic and destructive fight as the brainwashed X-Men fight with full force. During the battle, Alicia Masters, the puppet master's blind stepdaughter and Thing's girlfriend, senses her stepfather's involvement. Simultaneously, Professor X manages to momentarily fight off the control, sending a desperate telepathic plea to Reed Richards. Realizing they are being manipulated, the FF shift tactics from fighting to containing the X-Men and finding the source of the control. The Thing locates the puppet master, and Reed Richards uses a device to disrupt the villain's control over the puppets. Freed from the mental manipulation, the X-Men are horrified to realize they attacked fellow heroes. The two teams quickly reconcile and apprehend the Puppet Master, ending the issue with a newfound mutual respect between Marvel's first family and its first mutant team. Philip Masters, the Puppet Master, is a non-superpowered human who possesses a unique and dangerous tool, special radioactive clay. By sculpting miniature puppets in the likeness of individuals, he can exert complete mental control over their bodies, forcing them to obey his commands. His motivations often stem from bitterness, jealousy, and a lust for power and revenge against those he feels have wronged him, particularly superheroes. He is notably the stepfather of Alicia Masters, the blind sculptress and love interest of the Thing. His methods are insidious, relying on manipulation and turning heroes against each other rather than direct confrontation. And that fully wraps up our deep dive into these classic Marvel issues. From the formation of the X-Men and the Brotherhood to early Avengers drama, solo adventures, and a major FF crossover, these comics laid the groundwork for decades of stories. What were your favorite moments? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next journey into comic book history. Until next time, keep reading.